Okay, we're here as a continuation of our discussion last week about writing an effective CV. So tonight we're talking about conducting an effective job interview. They're part of the same process, which is professional branding, turning yourself into a serious professional that brings a real lot of value and professionalism to any company, any place you work, so that people want to pay, top value for what you bring to the table. So again, my insights here are based on this guy, Martin Yates of Knock 'em Dead. And I need to put down this. Okay. Turn your job interviews into job offers. Your CV has gotten you an interview. Now use this opportunity to continue your branding message and land the job. And so again, this is your behavior at the job interview is going to make all the difference whether you do get an offer or not, right? So, you could be the same person and send the same papers, but if you behave a certain way, you'll get the job, and if not, not. And we have some people. I have actually a really sweet guy from the previous course, but he suffers from low self-esteem. And so he doesn't present himself well. He underdoes himself. And so he's had a real hard time getting a job. He finally, Baruch Hashem, got something. But he went to a number of opportunities that we believed he was well qualified for, but he couldn't capitalize and sort of make the kill because of his, dearth of self-esteem. So it's something to work on. It's something you can practice, answer questions in front of the mirror and see how you look when you answer them and so forth. But remember, we're talking about a sales exercise where all of us, even though we're looking for a cybersecurity position, we're not necessarily applying for a sales job, but the job of getting ourselves a job is a sales job, okay? You got to sell. And I want to share something also from my daughter-in-law. I have 3 daughters-in-law. So we have a daughter-in-law working for Cyber Reason. And before she got this job, she got a college degree as a computer programmer, and she was Baruch Hashem top-notch. But then she did a program, maybe some of you have heard about Excellent Team, that it was a program to enrich top Haredi college graduates and help prepare them to get really good jobs. And it was really well funded. They had a huge staff. And they worked a lot on soft skills of teaching these young women how to present themselves, how to write their CV, how to conduct themselves in an interview, how to do research on the company in advance of the interview, et cetera, et cetera. So, you're investing this year in a course of cybersecurity. You've learned a world of new stuff and about this, new world, and you've really turned yourselves into young and junior cyber professionals. But without the soft skills of just being an employee and learning how to interact in the business world, you need both. You need also these soft skills. And so you have to invest in them, and you have to watch some YouTube videos or whatever, however you're going to do it, read a book, but you do need to give some thought into how you're going to behave and everything else we're going to discuss this evening about your job interview. So with that, let us begin. So the topics here: preparation, transportation, listening, communicating your message, understanding your interviewer, body language, attire, makeup, jewelry, what not to say, follow up, and maybe a few cyber specifics. So preparation is everything. Okay, the interview, will take maybe half an hour, maybe less. And you may have a few interviews. It's very common that you'll meet the first time the HR person, very often a young woman, and then maybe you'll meet, a technical person, and then maybe if you called back for a second or third time, you'll meet the CEO for final decision. But some of the companies that we're going to send you to, you're going to meet the CEO on the first time. And they're down to earth people, but it's a buy and sell type of meeting. So you got to be there to sell. So as in most things in life, how you prepare is the best indicator of your success in the job interview. So what does preparation entail? So what do I know about this employer? You got to research it. Any job that you're making the investment of your time and effort to apply for the job, it includes making the time and effort to research everything you can about the position and the company and the corporate culture. What kind of people are they? What are they looking for, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to make that investment. Years ago, I went to a job interview and I knew very little about the company. And right away, the guy sort of grilled me like, didn't you research the company before you came to the interview? So whatever, it's important to find out, to show your interest. And again, it's a two-way street. They have to want to hire you, but you have to want to work there. So, it could be a terrible place where everybody's really uptight or nasty or whatever, and you just don't want to be there. So there's always a little bit of reciprocity, two-way street in the job interview. And it depends sort of on your level, how much of that there's going to be. And in this case, where we're at entry-level positions, we don't have a lot of leverage, but we still have to learn about the place and see if we want to be a part of it. So doing research to figure out if we want to be there is, of course, important. Who's going to interview me? Like I said, it could be an HR person, could be a technical person, could be an executive who really doesn't know much about cyber, but they make the hiring decisions. So that makes a difference. Who's going to be the interviewer? You may not be able to know that in advance, but it's something that in the course of the interview that will make a difference in your behavior and what you talk about. Are you dealing with a technical person or the head of the cyber team? Or you're dealing with an HR person who really knows very little about cyber. So of course, that's an awareness that you'll need to have. What questions am I going to want to ask? Do you want to make a list? What questions are they going to ask me? That's really important. We're going to talk more about that. Here's the thing. What am I going to answer? Okay, they're going to ask me certain questions. What am I going to answer? And in just a moment, I'm going to share another YouTube video about that. Hone your answers. Work on them. Make them strong. Okay? They're going to ask your strengths and weaknesses. What will you say? I think I'm going to go right now to my YouTube video and we'll take a look.
Whatsoever, make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to give you a number of interview.
Hey, you want to get leaner, stronger, learn some cool calisthenics, bodyweight skills,
questions, tips, and top scoring answers to help you pass your interview. And in particular, this is what I will cover. I will give you a list of cybersecurity interview questions that I strongly advise you prepare for. I'm going to give you brilliant, unique answers to tough cybersecurity interview questions. I will also give you some tips on how you can be the standout candidate during your interview, and I will also tell you about further resources you can get access to, including these slides to help you pass your cybersecurity job interview. So that is 4 reasons why you should stay tuned. Let's get straight into it. Now, the first question is going to be, tell me about yourself. This will be the first cybersecurity job interview question that you will need to answer. And in your response, my advice is to focus on the following 2 areas. Talk about the various skills and qualities you already have that will help you excel within the cybersecurity job position you are applying for. Number 2, tell them what you will do in the role if they choose to hire you. This is your opportunity to tell them how you are going to add value to their business. Here's my suggested answer. Tell me about yourself. I am a confident, fast-working and attentive team worker who has the necessary skills to not only keep your organization safe from cyber attacks, but to also put systems in place that minimize risk whilst protecting your assets. I have excellent problem-solving skills. I can think like a hacker. My technical competence is broad, and I have excellent communication skills and a passion for continual learning and development. I am comfortable working with different computer and operating systems, and I can troubleshoot quickly and explain situations in plain English so everyone understands. I am highly vigilant and detail-orientated, and I will always work alongside co-workers and people within the organisation to ensure we stay ahead of the threats whilst working to eradicate our vulnerabilities and minimise the risk. Now, if you hire me in this cybersecurity position, you'll be getting somebody who is totally committed to your objectives, a decisive decision maker who puts the needs of the business first, and somebody who will always ensure their technical knowledge and competence is up to speed in this fast changing environment. Now, that's a really strong answer because it is in depth. Remember, you are up against other competitors, other candidates, so we need to make sure that you stand out. That's a really good answer. The next question: why do you want to work for our company in this cybersecurity role? Now, again, this is a guaranteed question to feature pretty much early on during your cybersecurity job interview. And in your response, show the hiring manager you have carried out plenty of research into their business and make sure you explain what has attracted you to work for them. Here's my suggested answer to help you. Why do you want to work for our company in this cybersecurity role? I want to work for your company because you are innovative, you are creative, and you genuinely want to be the best you possibly can be in a sector that is highly competitive. This means I will have the opportunity to work alongside a team of bright and talented individuals who all genuinely want the organisation to succeed. I want to work in an organisation that is constantly changing and developing because this means my cybersecurity skills and expertise will be tested on a regular basis. Finally, I am looking for long-term employment with the same company, and having researched you extensively in the build-up to the interview, this is a place I can see myself working at for a long period of time. That is another really good answer that shows you've researched the company, you are giving valid and genuine reasons why you want to work for them, and most importantly, you are saying you plan to stay there working for a long period of time. The next question: what are the steps in cyber kill chain and what is its purpose? Now, there will be numerous technical questions asked during your cybersecurity interview. Therefore, we need to make sure you are prepared for the more common ones asked during cybersecurity interviews. So here's my suggested answer to the question: what are the steps in cyber kill chain and what is its purpose? Cyber kill chain is a way to help understand the events of an external cyber attack on an organization's IT network in sequential order. It allows IT and cybersecurity teams to ensure the right strategies, procedures, and technologies are in place to contain an attack or kill it. Some people refer to the cyber kill chain as cyber attack chain. There are 7 steps in this process, which in order are reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and actions on objective. These steps were developed by the organisation Lockheed Martin. So that's a confident response that fully demonstrates you know the different steps in cyber kill chain. Let's take a look at another technical cybersecurity interview question example answer to help you prepare. Outline a few simple steps you would take to secure a server. Firstly, and probably most obviously, I would ensure the server is using SSL protocol for all data encryption and decryption to protect data from being intercepted by unintended recipients. The other simple ways I would secure the server is to make sure that the password for the administrators or root users are secure and that everyone has their own access. I have worked with companies in the past where they have used one root user login for the server for all employees to share. I obviously fixed this vulnerability immediately. I ensured everyone had their own access and the level of access they had was appropriate for their needs. I would also make sure that remote access is disabled for the administrator and root accounts, and firewall rules were put in place for other users that needed remote access. Now, don't go anywhere because I still have more questions and answers to work through with you. But when you're ready, if you want to click that link in the top right-hand corner of the video, it will take you through to my website, passmyinterview.com, and you can download my full set of 30 cybersecurity interview questions and top scoring answers, including the ones we are covering today. Here's the next question. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, this is another cybersecurity interview question that is guaranteed to come up towards the end of your interview. The strengths part is easy. We can all give strengths, but it's the weakness where we really need to be careful. Here's my suggested answer to help you. What are your strengths and weaknesses? My strengths include my ability to work quickly and accurately whilst analysing deep to get to the root of the problem in as fast a time as possible. I am a strong team worker and collaborator. I can explain technical incidents and situations in an easy to understand manner, and I have exceptional incident handling procedures in place that mean I can respond to an incident quickly. I have a passion for cybersecurity and the hacking process, and I will always keep my technical knowledge and expertise up to date with current and emerging trends. In respect of my weakness, I find it hard asking other people for help. I want to figure things out for myself because I take great pride in my work. However, I am also somebody who is open to learning, so if ever there's something you're not happy with, tell me and I will rectify it straight away. I like that answer because you are loading the front end with lots of applicable strengths that will help you in your cybersecurity role. You are then giving just one weakness that will cause you no harm in your application for your job, but you are finishing off and saying you are open to learning and you will take on board feedback as and when it is provided. The next question, talk me through your cybersecurity incident handling procedure. Now, this is one of the most important cybersecurity interview questions you will need to answer. Make sure you follow a set number of steps and always finish off with how you will learn from every incident that occurs. Here's my sample answer to help you. Talk me through your cybersecurity incident handling procedure. There are 6 steps I follow whenever a cybersecurity incident occurs. Step 1 is where I get my team together. I draw up a list of people I will need to utilize in order to resolve the incident. Step 2 is where I detect and confirm the source. Once the source is detected, we need to work as a team to contain it. Step 3 is where we will recover, which involves disabling the network if appropriate, resetting passwords, blocking accounts, backing up affected systems, and then working towards restorative actions. Restorative action is where we carry out a system and network check to test and validate everything is working as it should be. We will also need to recertify any components that have been affected by the attack. Step 4 is where we will take the time to assess the damage caused by the breach. And step 5, we will start the notification process and inform relevant governing bodies of any breach of information or sensitive data, including any that fall under GDPR, for example. Finally, during step 6, we will take the appropriate steps to prevent the situation from happening again. It's very important we learn from each cyber security incident. That's another really strong answer. So the next thing to do is click that link in the top right hand corner of the video. Go through to my website, passmyinterview.com. Take a look at my 30 cybersecurity interview questions. Those are the ones I recommend you prepare for.
Okay. So it's sort of overkill and he's pretty self-promoting. He says about his own answers how great they are. But I think it's really helpful to realize that there's like a science to this, that people have thought a lot about this and people are doing this all the time. And lots of people are getting interviewed for jobs. And so you do need to learn about it and familiarize yourself with what's going to happen and be aware that other people have already thought about it. So again, I just Googled for cybersecurity job interview and that came up and I watched it and I liked it. Now I can hear Hannah Hoffman, she asked last time, aren't our CVs all going to look the same? So like if we all give the same answers that this smart British guy gives, so then we're all going to say the same thing. So for sure we have to be real, right? And if you would use his answers per se, you'd memorize them or something. So that'd be terrible. But his sense of focus and power and self-confidence, and he's full of information. I think it's really indicative of sort of the tone you want to strike of confident professional. Now, Moshe asked at entry level, especially for interviews, are they going to really ask cyber technical skill questions? So is it really recommend to lecture the interviewer like this? I agree. This guy was overkill, and I don't suggest you take on his voice, but walking like you're someone who belongs there. Well said, Hannah. Since you're coming to an entry level position or as an intern, and we've definitely had this with the companies we work with, they do want to know, what do you know? They don't. That maybe they have looked at our syllabus and maybe they haven't, but even if they have, they want to know, do you know what was on our syllabus? Did you learn, what was in the course? So they are going to ask you, what do you know about cybersecurity? And no two of our students would give an identical answer to that, because different people, learn different things and, got this or got that or like that and so forth. So it is really personal. And you need, of course, to speak in your own voice. I want to go back to some of the stuff I talked about last week, that again, the employer is the customer and you're selling, and the customer is king. So you're trying to be the person that they want to hire. And so you're trying to be yourself, but you're trying to be your best professional self. So you're trying to be the best young cyber professional that you can be. What do we know and what can we do? What do we know and what can we do? Right. They want to know, what do you know and what can you do? That's right. Especially in the position you're entering in. Yes. So this is, again, this is the game that we're talking about. And we talked about preparation. Let me make this go away. Second.
Any cyber security.
Go away, go away, go away. Okay. Okay. Oh, shoot. Almost ended the meeting. Okay. Preparation. What do I know about the company we talked about? They ask you about your strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. So you definitely, they should not catch you by surprise. You should have practiced in advance. How are you going to answer that question? Because they will ask it. It's just the way it's done. Okay. Next topic, transportation, because getting there is not half the fun. I get nervous about things like this. So you want to plan a low stress way to arrive at the interview 15 minutes ahead of time. If you get there exactly on time, you should consider yourself late. You want to be there early and with composure, have a time to go to the restroom beforehand, whatever. Is it done remotely these days? Yes. I mean, right now in COVID, there's a real lot of stuff done over Zoom, but a lot of places still it's in person. So it depends, right? It could be you even want to drive there the day before to make sure you know how to get there or what bus goes there, whatever. You're nervous and you need to be at your best. Keep yourself calm and focused on the game. The pregame should not drain your energy and nerves, right? You want to be at your best. So things that are extraneous shouldn't take your energy. Listening. Okay, so we talked about, talking, but what about listening? So a beautiful expression, and there's something like it in the Gemara, better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So you don't just need to blabber or fill the silence with chatter. Think before you say something. And listening is really important. Active listening, active listening skills include sort of mirroring the person that's speaking and repeating part of what he said to show that you understood and have gotten it. So you're listening to learn about the job and the employer through your attentive listening. You are finding out the qualities that they're looking for in their new hire. You're allowing the interviewer to guide the conversation in his or her desired direction and pace, right? I mean, they're really leading the conversation. So you're participating and you're important. You're the subject, but they are the guide. So you want to sort of give them the power over the conversation. Show that you're a good team player and can listen and interact effectively with others. I hope to show you another short video about 5 things you should never ever say in a job interview. And one is to badmouth the company that you're coming from or the people that you work with or your former boss, whatever. If you show yourself to be a difficult person to work with, like you didn't like the people you worked with before or something, so you probably won't like the people here either. So if you're like negative like that, if you bring negative energy, so more or less nobody wants you. Okay, so you do not want to be negative almost about anything. You want to bring positive energy to this interview. Remember, they're trying to see, do we want you to be in our company? Are you the kind of person that represents who we want to be? And your job is to convince them that, yes, I understand what kind of people you want to be, and I'm one of those people, okay? So, and if you're not, then you shouldn't be there or you shouldn't take the job. So through your research, you should realize that there is alignment between their corporate culture and what they're trying to do and how they do it and the way you yourself are. If they're really tough, aggressive people and that's just not your style, so then it's not for you. What if they ask you why you left your former job? That's a really good question, Mary, because they sometimes do ask that. And so you should talk about, I wanted a position with more growth and more challenging and stuff like that. You have to come up with a diplomatic answer, but you should for sure prepare that in advance. Okay, so that is, it's very likely, again, if it's just an internship, you're new in the field, then it's not so relevant. But if you left a different position to come to this, so you should expect this question and you should have it worked out, and it should be in the positive side and not the negative. Even if the real reason is you got fired or you fought with your boss, whatever, but that's just not what you want to say. That's not what you need to say. You need to put a positive spin on it, that I was looking for new opportunities to grow and learn and so on and so forth. Show you're a good team player. I said that. And about your positive interaction and representing this company in a positive way.
Hold on, what you just mentioned, it's not really relevant for the beginning, but you just mentioned that if you were, let's say, fired from the position, then you shouldn't mention that, which is true, but they're going to be doing their research into you also, so they know that you were laid off versus.
No, that's not
No?
true, Hannah. That's
What do
unlikely.
you mean? You wouldn't, if you were hiring somebody, you wouldn't call their past areas of work to find out, meaning to find out about them, to find out what type of worker they are, what type of employee they are?
Depending on the level, it doesn't usually happen, to be honest. Usually they will call you, give them, people that want to give you a recommendation, and they will call those numbers, but that they will call, your old company to research you, it's just not that common. So the fact that you left the previous company, the circumstances under which you left will probably not be known to this company. So there's no reason for you to disclose if you were fired. So that you should not assume that they know that. Okay. I have here that you should try to make an effort to understand the personality of the interviewer to tailor your messaging. And let me give an example of this. Like I said before, at different interviews, first, second, or third, whatever, you may be speaking to technical or non-technical people. So, I mean, it should be really obvious that if you're speaking to non-technical people, so your messaging is going to be different than if you're speaking to technical people, right? So the HR person who is not from the field of cyber, I mean, if you talk to her a lot of jargon, that won't do you any good. But if you show her your positive energy and your desire to be part of the team, et cetera, that will speak to her. Whereas if you're speaking to a hacker, you're speaking to, a real deadhead of a guy who's super technical. So to tell them about your team spirit, like, he doesn't get that and he doesn't care. He just wants to know, what do you know how to do? So you want to understand who are you speaking to, and to tweak your messaging and the language and the topics that you're discussing based on the identity of the person across the table from you. Okay. Communicating your message. Your CV was an expression of your brand. Oops. Your interview should continue to express that message and branding, what you say and how you say it. And here, again, Yates has a concept called transferable skills and professional values. One of the other things that I picked up from that video I showed you, there's certain talk and chatter. People use the same words about, I'm a creative problem solving and whatever. And so if you just, spout off those same words, it's unconvincing. It's just commercial and it's like superficial. So you don't want to do that. You want to, again, be more real than that, but you do want to, communicate your professional branding. So you want to present a message. I can do the job. I want to do the job. I can get along with others and contribute to the team. That is the basic, message. A job interview is not therapy, right? Don't tell them, why a sob story or something like that, or how this job is going to heal you or something like that. That's not an appropriate message. It's like acting the part of the effective hire. You're like acting. You're like, be the person that they want to hire. And again, that person should be you, but it should be your best professional self. Communicate that you understand what they're looking for and you can be that person. So just to define the terms of transferable skills, these are things that whatever job you have, whether it's, technical or non-technical, these are things you can take with you to any job. So the first is technical, like, email and plugging things in and being able to send a fax and whatever, basic stuff like that. How the job will make me younger. Okay, Eliezer, good. Eliezer, I consider you so young at heart that I don't know how you could get to be any younger. You'd be a baby if you're any younger. Communication skills, critical thinking, multitasking, teamwork skills, creativity, leadership. Again, these are not related to a particular industry or job. These are transferable skills that you can excel in anything. But just to put these words on your CV or your interview, it's sort of meaningless because everybody does or everybody can. So if you're going to use words like this, you have to sort of prove them or demonstrate them or live them, be them, not just to say the words, because anybody can say any words. Professional values. And again, this is important because let's say you're a mom who you're trying to raise a family and your husband is learning or working, whatever. And it's really important to you that every day you got to pick up your kids at 3 o'clock. So if you come to the job interview and you say, well, I'm really passionate about the job and I'm really devoted to the company, but every day at 3 o'clock, I have to go because I have to pick up my kids. So like that very much puts a boundary on your commitment to this job and shows that you're fundamentally, for your family, which isn't a bad thing, but it very much limits your value to the company. Because let's say they have a really urgent project and they need everybody to stay tonight till midnight or 2 in the morning to really get it out the door. And it's a giant customer. Again, my daughter-in-law at Cyber Reason, they're working on a project for Uber. And so it's a really big deal. It's for hundreds of millions of dollars and they're working really hard to get it done. So if you're putting boundaries, well, I have to be for my family, etc., you could do that, but you are lowering your value to the company. And so it might be true, but you don't need to emphasize it in a job interview. And if you do want to emphasize that, the most important thing in my life is, being a mom or something like that. So you need to realize how that's going to affect your career. And you could accept that. I'll give you an example of a company we worked with, and I'll give you 2 examples. One is like a cyber company, or maybe it's software, but he has what he calls 2 groups of workers. He has what he calls kravi, which is a Hebrew word for the fighters, the people, the battle warriors. And then he has another group, and all the Haredim that work for him, he has a whole room of Haredim, whatever, men or women, I can't remember, but none of them are kravi, because the people that are kravi, their job is the most important thing in their life. And the truth is, for a lot of people, it's the only thing in their life. Like these are unmarried people, and their job and their lunch break and the culture of their workplace is the main thing in their lives. And the Haredim are there to earn a living for their family. So their job is a secondary thing in their lives. And that is a really important distinction in values. And so it's true that those people who are the battle warriors, they get paid better and they'll stay there all night, 2 nights on end if they need to. And the other people, they're coming and going because they have other things going on in their lives. And again, that's fine. Those are value decisions, but you have to realize that they have impact also on your earning capacity. I want to give another, you'll work 10 times better in half the time, Yael says. Okay, I like that, Yael, that's good spirit. I'll give you another example. My wife had a meeting with the head of cybersecurity. I think it was Bank Discount, but it doesn't matter, one of the Israeli banks. So a person like that in Israel, he was like a colonel or something like that in the army. He was very much a commanding officer. And he's like, look, I'm a bank, so I am under attack all the time. So if you have cyber students that are passionate and really good at what they do, bring them to me, okay? I'm ready, I'm hiring today. But we haven't sent him actually anybody because it's to be in like a war environment. Like you're under attack and you're fighting back and you're gonna work long hours, really intense, and also maybe in Tel Aviv, but it's a real commitment, devotion to that type of environment and so forth, triage. So, so again, there could be people like that from our program, but we haven't had any yet. So you have to find an environment which is appropriate for your level of commitment and that is in keeping with your values. So, I'm a big believer in integration. And, when people say, well, only work in a place where there's no men in the room or there's no this or that, I don't like that. I respect, everybody has their own values and their limitations, but I do believe in integration. But you have to know, to what level are you committed to this? And is that the level that is appropriate for this job? So that's something to take into account. So in terms of professional values, again, from Yates or from wherever else I took it, motivation and energy. A motivated professional do a better job in everything they do. They perform with high energy, which affects others and inspires to get the job done right and on time. Commitment, reliability, dedication to your profession, doing whatever it takes to get the job done. Determination, resilience when the going gets tough. Pride and integrity, if it's worth doing, do it right. Attention to detail, commitment to doing your best, taking responsibility for actions, good or bad. Productivity and economy, be frugal with the company's resources, use them in an effective manner for maximum productivity. And systems and procedures. Yeah, you have to be careful not to, be a tattletale or go over the head of somebody. Oh, they didn't treat me right. You need to follow the chain of command. If things don't make sense, work through the system to change them. So these are some examples of professional values. Understanding the person across the table, I mentioned this a little bit. Use your interpersonal skills to gauge what interests the other party in a conversation. And that's true, once you work there, as well as during this process of getting yourself hired, of effective interpersonal communication to engage this person and show them that you're the kind of person that they want to have on the team. Tailor your message and communications to the personality type of the interviewer. Okay, I actually thought I changed some of this. But okay, for example, the interviewer, I use sort of career counseling jargon here. Sorry about that. If they are a certain type and they're introverted and detail oriented and so forth and rule keepers, they're a details person. So don't talk about your ability to impact team spirit, cite your number and percentages of past successes. Body language is really important. As I said, look in a mirror, see how you're going to look. You could even videotape yourself in an interview situation. Nonverbal communications are actually the majority of our interaction. Your body will be telling a story, whether you want it to or not. So make sure it's the one you want to tell. Practice, watch yourself and others. Act like the person you want to be. Okay, so, again, a lot of this, to some people, it comes naturally. They feel comfortable, and other people, not so much. And maybe they're shy or, uncomfortable in that situation. But even if you're shy and uncomfortable, teach yourself not to broadcast that. Teach yourself how to behave with poise and self-confidence, even if that's not how you're feeling on the inside. Attire, makeup, jewelry. The key word here is professionalism is the name of the game. Look like the employee they want to hire. Your clothes, hair, makeup, jewelry will be telling a story. Make sure it's the one you want to tell. So if you have a tattoo, make sure you cover it. I'm just sort of kidding. But I do want to tell a story about this. Hannah was doing career counseling for a young Hasidic young woman. We knew her family, and she had studied insurance, so she was ready to be like a young insurance agent, whatever. But she was like, I think she was Shana Rishona, she was just married. So she went to an interview or two and she didn't get the job. And it actually was clear. Hannah said to her, "You have on too much makeup and jewelry." She said to her, "You look like a tchotchke." And they don't want to hire a tchotchke. They want to hire a young professional. So she toned down her makeup and jewelry and she got the next job. So again, your stuff, the way you present yourself tells a story. It needs to be the right story. And then we're in a field of cyber, okay? So, you want your clothes to be they should not be loud. They should not draw a lot of attention. Sneeze, of course, is a great value in this, that, it's not about your body and so on and so forth, and you're covered. Those are really good things. A lot of the eitzas, a lot of the advice that he gives in the book is sort of the rules of sneeze. So I can't tell you all the rules of how high your heels should be and what your skirt, the colors, but I think you get the idea that everything should be quiet, toned down. And the same thing is true for a guy. that, you don't want to wear loud stuff and things that detract attention from the topic, which is, of course, cybersecurity and professionalism. And again, you want to dress the part of the other people who work for the company, and you want to show that you get it. You get their corporate culture and you can be a part of it. So if you come in a three-piece suit, you may also be way overdressing and you may look ridiculous, and that won't be the way to go. So you want to have some sense what's local culture. If it's in Tel Aviv, the culture is very informal, especially in a cyber company. The hackers are going to come to work in shorts and a t-shirt, okay? That doesn't mean you have to wear shorts and a t-shirt, but it means that if you wear a jacket and tie, you're going to be overdressed and feel uncomfortable and make them feel uncomfortable. So you do want to be aware of how are the people that are interviewing you, how are they going to be dressed? And you want to dress more or less like them. It could be, half a level up, but you don't want to be overdressed for the interview either. So again, show them you can represent the company honorably to clients, investors, students, parents, and grandparents. Okay, so you're one of them. What not to say. There's a time to discuss vacation, perks, and salary. It is not at the early stage of the interview, and probably not until they've offered you the job. Stay focused on relevant topics, using any extraneous topics only to strengthen your case or connection. Again, like I said before, one of the reasons I showed you that video was just to show you that there's a real lot of literature out there. There's people preparing for these things. So there's something called job interviews for dummies, and there's even a cheat sheet. I guess I'll show you a little bit if I have it. Okay. Job interviews for dummies, cheat sheet. Top 10 tips for doing your best in job interviews. You have to prepare for each and every job interview. Show your future bosses that you're smart and ready for anything. You can communicate clearly, not go off track. Concentrate on what you can do for the company, not on what the company can do for you. Remember, they're buying, you're selling. Focus on your skills and other factors that make you valuable immediately. He says employers don't want to wait for 6 months before you deliver benefits to them. So again, in an internship, they are investing in you. So you have to show that the investment that they're willing to make is worthwhile. They are maybe willing to wait a period of time, but you have to show that you're serious about staying on to make that investment come through for them. Present a fitting image for the job you seek. Walk it, talk it, look it, be it. Be confident and friendly, maintain good eye contact, firm handshake, smile frequently. Don't use first names unless asked to do so. That's maybe not true in Israel. Memorize a short speech that tells your story quickly. I mean, you for sure, tell me about yourself. You have to be prepared to do that, without stumbling. Don't chatter to fill a silence that might make you blurt out harmful information. Okay. Avoid bringing up negative aspects from your employment history. Don't ask about salary and benefits too soon. Develop a storytelling knack. Memorize short, true stories. Yeah, incidents in your life, things that show why you'd be really good at this. So there are things that maybe happened when you were younger or whatever. They're sort of, not directly connected, but you have a way to connect them, and they demonstrate a point that you're trying to make about your professional branding. So you should always bring those up. Okay, those are important. Claims of relevant skills and accomplishments. And then, of course, it's legitimate and appropriate to ask when a decision is going to be made. Can I call back? When can I call back? Or when should I expect to hear from you? Something like that. They have here something also for shy people. Bekitzer, my point here is that just like everything else, you should Google it and do good preparatory work for your job interview. Okay. Okay, let me go back to this. Cyber specifics. So in cyber, skills are king. All the other things are sort of around it, but the main thing, of course, are your skills. So be prepared to talk about and demonstrate your skills. They may want to give you a test to, to see what you know, using your certifications, projects, interests, past and future. Anything you don't know is a learning experience. Go home and learn it. So if they ask you, do you know about this? So say what you do know. And if you don't know, you don't know, and say, but I'm interested and I'd like to learn more. Where can I learn more about it? Whatever. Show that you are a learner, because the field of cybersecurity, as you all know and have figured out by now, it's all about ongoing learning. Okay, I do want to share another YouTube about things you should never say. And at 8 o'clock, we have Shaya, which I'm looking forward to. Let me just make sure it's going to work.
Specifically, 5 things that you shouldn't say, bring up, mention in any way, shape, or form in a job interview. If you do, it's almost cause for instant disqualification from the process. So the first thing, number 1, don't talk bad about your company. Don't talk bad about the people. Don't say that you didn't like working there, no matter how it comes up. I mean, maybe you hated working there. Maybe you hated your boss. But when they ask you questions, well, did you like working there? Did you like your boss? The answer is yes, I did. I liked working for my boss. I liked the people. I liked the company. I liked the culture. I liked everything about them. It's a shame that I have to leave. I'm sorry I have to leave, but I'm looking for, greener pastures, greater opportunity. I'm looking for more responsibility. Say any of that except that you didn't like working there, you didn't like what they did, or anything like that. Because if you didn't like working there or you didn't like your boss, it'll be no time flat that you'll be saying the same things about them when they hire you. You'll find reasons not to like them. You'll find reasons not to like your boss. That's just the way it goes. People who don't like where they worked at, it doesn't take them long to not like the new place. That's just the way it goes. That's human nature. So you don't want to communicate that to them in the interview. No matter how it comes out, even if they ask you, how do you like that company? Well, I don't really like working there anymore. No, you like working there. You like the people, because otherwise you get labeled as cancer. You get labeled as cancerous when you're the type of person that goes around talking smack about all the people or the company, the policies, the things that you don't like. And companies get rid of people like that. Now, I know that's not you. You know why I know that's not you? Because you're here watching me today and you're trying to better yourself. And people who are trying to better themselves, they're not the cancerous type of people. I mean, sure, there might be something about their company that they didn't like. And it could be, very genuine reason that they didn't like certain things. Just don't say that in the interview. Do not mention that in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so the next one here, number 2. A lot of candidates go in and they're so desperate to work at a job, they'll say, I'll do anything. It doesn't matter what it is, I'll do anything. Now, these are usually people who are not employed right now, and maybe they've been out of work for 6, 9 months, maybe even 2 years. And they aren't desperate for a job, and they will do anything. But if you go into a job interview and say, you know what, I don't care what it is, I'll do it, I'll do anything, just give it to me. So when you do this, you end up showing a certain level of desperation that just doesn't come out very well. You want to go in there, you want to go into the interview, you want to talk about what you can do and the value you can bring, and that you are excited to do it. That's what you want. You don't want to just say, yeah, I'll do whatever you got. I'll do it. I'll sweep the floors. I don't care. No, you want to go in there specifically. Tell them what you want to be doing. You have to hold tight to your values. You have to hold tight to your beliefs and what you want to be doing. Because if they just give you anything, if they just give you any kind of job there, in 2 months, you won't be happy doing it. I guarantee you. And employers know this. They know that if you go in there and say, I'll take whatever you got, and they give it to you, 2-3 months later, you'd be like, you know what, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. And you'll leave. And you'll leave them high and dry. And then they just wasted a whole bunch of time, and they're going to have to go interview somebody else, and it costs them a lot of money to deal with mishires, like you. So when you go in there, Don't tell them that you'll just do anything or you'll take anything. It just sends a message of desperation. All right, let's move on to number 3. So when they ask you, maybe tell me about yourself, or, what are some of the things that you're good at? Don't tell them that you're, a self-starter, or that you're a quick learner, or that you're results oriented, any of that stuff. Now, what you do want to say is how you can do those things. So you want to put it in context. So if this is like a management position, you don't want to say that, I'm a great leader. You want to talk about how you have led people. You want to talk about groups of people or teams that you have built and assembled to work on certain projects. You want to talk about how you've done it. You don't want to just say that you're results oriented. You want to talk about projects that you completed and you finished on time and under budget, and you want to talk about the details. All the results oriented and the leadership will come out in the context of what you're saying. Does that make sense? So don't go in there and just say, I'm a results-oriented leader. Put it in context for them and show them how you have done this before. And then the underlying message will be that, hey, this person, they're pretty good.
This is Dave. He's trying to learn a language the traditional way. But they only teach him boring grammar and phrases he would never use.
It's not going well. Cindy.
A good results-oriented leader. I mean, that's a label that you get put on after the fact. All right? Makes sense? So go in there and just tell them, how you have done things, not, how you would do them. All right, let's move on to the next one here, number 4. When they ask you a question, and let's say, do you know how to do this? Don't tell them that you don't know how. Don't say to any interviewer that I don't know how to do that, or I've never seen that, or, I have no idea. I mean, that's the worst possible thing you can say, even if it's the truth. But what you do want to say is, you know what? Let me think about that for a second. And then you think, and you're like, and what you want to do is you want to connect it to something that's similar to what you've done. So you say, you know what? I haven't done that exact thing, but I've done something that's similar. And what that does is that shows them that you at least have some level of understanding of what they're talking about. Because if you show no level of understanding about the question, that's a big red flag, a big mark against you. And it's most likely going to be a competency question. And if you know anything about competency questions, those are weighted the heaviest. So if you miss 1 or 2 competency questions, that could be it. That could wipe you out right there in the interview. You could be done. Just 2 competency questions. 1, maybe you can get away with, but it depends. Depends how crucial the question is. Because competency questions pull in a lot of fundamentals. And if you don't know a lot of fundamentals about what you do, that says that you don't know a lot about what you do. So never tell them that you don't know. Always try to come close to something. Connect the dots for them. And maybe you need to pull a lifeline here and say, you know what? Can I think about that for a minute, and can we circle back around? And they're going to say yes. But if you pull that lifeline technique too many times, like maybe more than once or twice, that's it. You're done. So you need to give yourself a little bit of time to think about how you can connect your experiences to what they're talking about. And I know you can. I know you can. All right, let's move on to the last one here, number 5. When you go into the interview, don't ask them, so what does your company do here? That's the worst thing you can do. That shows that you did absolutely no research, no preparation on this company, this division, the department, or the projects they're working on, or anything. Don't ask them, what do they do here? You should already know that. If anything, ask them specifics about some of the things that they are doing. But don't go in there blinded and just say, well, what do you guys do around here? That sounds interesting. I think I might like to do that. That's the worst possible thing you can say. That shows that you have no level of excitement about this company or about what they're doing. It shows that you put no preparation into the interview. You spent no time researching this company or the position. It just basically says that, you showed up and maybe you'd like the job. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way out there. There are so many hungry job seekers out there who want these positions, and they are going to beat you over 10 times fold. Tenfold. They're going to be so much sharper than you. They're going to be on their game. They're going to be talking about their experiences, about how they relate to the job. They're going to know what that company does. They're going to know. They're going to have looked it up. And you can too. So take that extra step before your next job interview and spend some time researching the position. Gather as much information as you can so that you can go in there and now you can ask them questions that will help qualify you about this job and about this company, and if it's a place that you even want to be. I mean, if you think about it, that's really what a job interview is. You are out there talking to them, and you're interviewing them too. You're interviewing them to see if this is something that you want to be doing. That's the whole key to a job interview. All right, my friend, good luck on your next interview. Now, before you go on your next interview, I would strongly suggest grabbing a copy of the complete.
So again, not all of it is totally relevant to an entry-level position, but again, I like showing that people have thought about these things, and it's a game, and it's competitive game, and the advantage is to the employers, and so you have to be prepared to sort of fight for your place and put your best foot forward. So you have to invest in that process of doing the research, preparing yourself, how to tell your own story, and how you're gonna deliver the goods for the company to be the kind of person that they need for this position. Okay, I'm expecting Shia in the next couple of minutes. So when he gets, how long should you say it's your first job? Okay. I think that, it depends on so many factors, Eliezer. I'll just tell you about our concept in this program. What we had talked about was a 400-hour internship, okay, which we have half a dozen young cyber companies here in Israel who are working with us, and they appreciate taking our young, ambitious students and showing them the ropes and sort of getting them their work hours for free. These aren't rich companies, these are startups. So that means they don't have a lot of money. So they're happy to have some essentially free labor to start with. And then what's happened in the majority of cases is that they've hired them, at least the best people who performed during the internships. So in the field of cyber, after working at a place for about a year and a half, you have the capacity to move on and show a lot of value. You're now an experienced member of the field. And so you're not ready for a senior position, but you're ready for, a mid-level position that should offer a lot more compensation than your very first job. So that my answer is between a year and two. How long are internships typically? I would say, part of a couple months up to half a year. Malia said, I understood from Deborah she had paid training. Is that different from internship? Yes, it is. Basically, centralized hired Deborah, and there was some training at the beginning that she was paid for. So yeah, and we've had other people who also had that. We had a guy who works for a company called Neuralegion, and he also was hired, and he was paid a lower salary at the beginning, where he was in a, let's say a 2-month training period or something like that. And then when he would complete the training period, then he would get a higher salary. So that's, I would say, a common arrangement, that you'll start off with a lower salary during training and then something better once you're past that. I see Shaya's here. Good evening, Shaya. I'm going to actually stop the recording and start a new one.